Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster and I thought I'd go through the basics of fire preparation and maintenance today. Now a lot of people know how to make a fire, some people do it better than others, and what I wanted to do is just go through how I would generally first of all prepare my materials needed for a fire, and then show you me lighting those materials, gradually building up the flame to get a decent base established. But what I'll do, let me move the camera a bit closer and I'll show you what I've got set up down here, and we'll take it from there. Right then guys, so this is my basic setup, and what I've done, because it's been quite bad weather the last few days, there's been a lot of rain, the ground is really wet and muddy. So what I've done first and foremost is taken some relatively dry wood, and I've created a platform on which we're going to build the fire on. And basically what that's going to allow us to do is work with our tinder material without putting it on the damp floor and getting it wet, and also it will insulate the fire as it's beginning to grow from the damp and cold ground. And what it will do is it stop the ground from leaching any heat away from the fire, which then makes it a lot more difficult for the fire to build. Now first and foremost, I harvested some birch bark this morning. This is what I'm going to use as my tinder source. I made a couple of feather sticks, very small ones, just to help establish that flame once it's lit. And then moving on from there, what we need to do is build up our kindling step by step. So what I've got here, first of all, is a very small bunch of very thin twigs. Next to that, some slightly larger twigs. Another bundle of that, because you can never have too much kindling. And then I've got some sort of larger sticks here, which will be going on once that flame's good and established. I've got a couple of branches here that were dead standing, and what I've done, you don't have to do this, but I've basically removed the bark to get to the dry wood underneath, just to give, because the bark was quite damp where it rained last night, just to give it a bit of a chance to sort of warm up and burn. And last but not least, I had a couple of offcuts in my workshop, so I've got some nice dry birch here, just in case all else fails. And I always carry this with me when I come out in the woods, and as much as I would much rather start a fire with just natural materials I can find around me, I always keep a couple of bits of dry wood just as a backup, so I can guarantee getting a good established flame. Okay guys, so first thing we want to do is prepare our birch bark, and to do that you just take your knife and just scrape back on the outer side of the bark, and what you're trying to do is collect up all of the oily sort of resinous bark that's on the back of this, and what I tend to do is sort of scrape it up all into a pile on the actual birch bark itself until you've got a reasonable amount on there, and then what we'll do is try dropping a spark on that, and hopefully we should get a decent flame. What I also do is try and keep a few bits of smaller birch bark just hanging around, just ready for sort of putting onto that initial flame. So I've got a couple of pieces just here. What we'll do, we'll see if we can get a spark on this. So we've got a very small flame. That's now taken. I'm using the other piece of birch bark just to transfer that. Hopefully that will stay lit long enough to get one of these on. It looks like it will. I'm going to be careful not to smother this as well. If you put too much on too quickly, you could very easily lose the flame and you'd have to start again. And while this is good and established, just get a bunch of your smaller kindling, nice bunch in there. Don't put it on too heavily, try and keep it nice and light over the top, and you can lift it up. If you keep it long enough, you can hold it by the end and lift it. And once that starts to get established, you can get another one over the top, which hopefully shouldn't be too bad, shouldn't cause it to go out. You just want to give that a couple of minutes to get established. Make sure those flames have taken hold, and then you can start getting the slightly larger bits on top. If it is slightly damp as this is, then obviously it will start to dry them out as it's taking the smaller pieces below. Hopefully you can hear on the camera there's a bit of a hiss, which is basically just the water drying out from some of this stuff. And again, as you're layering this on top, the best way I've found to do it is to actually sort of crisscross everything. So you put a layer on one way, turn it 90 degrees, and then put another layer on a different way. That just keeps a little bit of airflow, which is very important for keeping the fire well and established. And hopefully in a minute you'll start to see a lot more flame come through the top as it gradually burns through. And again, I don't know if you can see all this here. This is actually steam coming off where the water's being dried off very, very quickly. Right then guys, well I hope that was useful. Again, that's just my sort of general method for lighting a fire. Start off with your tinder, get everything prepared in advance, use some really, really small fine kindling, and then gradually build it up to bigger and bigger stuff as the fire gets established. Obviously don't feed things in too quickly, don't smother the flames. And again, you know, this is just a small little fire I'm having. I'm going to make a brew shortly, and that's what I'm planning on using this fire for. You know, if I was away overnight and I wanted a much bigger fire, you know, I would make sure I've got plenty of fuel pretty much for the rest of the night. But as I say, as usual guys, comments and questions below. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers guys.